Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Onos and today we're going to do some side-by-side comparisons. I think you're going to be pretty surprised at the results I found with this one. This is why I love testing. The results of this totally ruined my previous assumptions. The video may appear slow-paced at times, but I feel the payoff is worth it. So, where this began. I've had a number of comments on some recent videos. I talked about what it takes to get that level 170 weapon and how to get to plus 10 and how long that grind would take you using some of the averages I put together with a ridiculous amount of testing. The comments were along the lines of, why are you using the Child of the Sun armor set? It's built around luck and drop rates. You're limiting your damage output. Wouldn't it be more efficient to focus on damage and chew through some missions? So okay, I thought, you know what, it's a fair question. Now the difficulty is this. How do I quantify the results? This video will take you through my thought process, the tests I ran, and toward the end I'll come to a conclusion and tell you how I'm going to apply this knowledge to my own playthrough. The steps I took were first, make a damage build and test it to make sure it's a big enough damage difference. Second, do a comparison in the speed of running missions versus the reward I got from various bosses at the end. What I wanted to find out was, is it more efficient to smash through content quickly when you're farming for materials? Or is it better to take a slightly slower approach, but to maximise the loot drops? I think you'll be surprised by the results. So first I'll show you my damage test. I used a mission called a formal match to test this. I didn't apply level sync, but I ran the test on New Game Plus, just to see how quickly I could put him down with each build. Here we go. Okay, so that's test 1. It took around 10 seconds longer to finish him using my luck build. Doesn't sound like much, but that's around a 30% difference there. So I thought, wow, what happens if I scale it up to boss runs and gauntlets? Honestly, you're not going to believe it, I didn't at first. It was only when I put the footage side by side that I saw the true picture. So before we jump into the next test, let me talk about loot for a moment. This test started with me running the Eye of the Beholder quest over and over for each build and counting up the loot. I wanted to know what I received based on having better luck and drop rate stats versus simply focusing on damage output and speed. Stats wise, on the screen now, I'll list the stats I was using in terms of drop rates. Bear in mind what I'm testing here is purely about equipment. It's about that grind for materials to boost up the plus levels on your gear. We've established it takes some time to get past plus 6, plus 7, plus 8 and so on, so I'm trying to find the most efficient way. So the relevant stats for this test are luck and equipment drop rate. I started by running the Eye of the Beholder mission on New Game Plus with level sync switched on. For the sake of the test, I did all of this without using Nioh Choco cups. What I found when going back to the blacksmith was that for each run I was receiving both a higher quantity of plus level gear, both weapons and armour, and a higher quality. And by quality I mean the plus level of the gear. So for example, using the luck build I would sometimes receive a plus 4 level item. On the damage build I never saw that happen, the most I ever got was plus 3. On average across 10 runs using each build, the difference was around 30% less in terms of the quantity of divine gear in favour of the luck build. So that's weird, I thought. So on paper, a 30% increase in kill speed with my damage build versus a 30% increase in drop rates on my luck build. Wouldn't that make them break even? Or would the speed I get from the damage build outweigh the luck build so much that it makes more sense to use the damage build? Honestly, and this is why I love testing, I wanted the damage build to come out on top. It felt so much more satisfying with the higher damage. But I don't listen to feelings, I listen to facts and numbers. So with all that said, I'm going to show you an example of the tests I ran. I want you to pay close attention to how they pan out. I'll comment a little along the way where appropriate. Again, the results came as a complete surprise to me. You need to watch the test side by side or you honestly wouldn't believe what I'm going to tell you at the end. After you've seen the test runs, I'll conclude with some thoughts. Here we go. First of all, a run of one of the new missions, Winds of Ruin. And then the really surprising one, the Eye of the Beholder. Okay, so with that test, the outcome was pretty close, despite the differences in damage. A number of factors, including buffs throughout the fight, enemy actions and my own mistakes and imperfections, almost leveled the playing field, even though the difference in damage was so much higher on the damage build. In that mission, I couldn't fully max out my damage on the damage build. I didn't have time to reapply my rage damage buff using the axe. I also wasn't picking up my damage buff from Amrita absorption. So my first thought was, okay, fine, let's see how we do on a real boss run with yokai to fight along the way. The next test result blew my head off because I thought I already knew the answer. Watch this last one and then I'll conclude at the end with some thoughts and ideas. Did you see it? 5 seconds, literally 5 seconds difference in finishing the boss off. Between the time differences in applying damage buffs, running from one enemy to another, stopping to pick up loot, errors on my part or imperfect gameplay, which will happen no matter how good you are, it left 5 seconds difference between the runs. 5 seconds is 0.4% on a 4-minute run. I honestly thought that a longer run with more variables would extend the lead of the damage build. It did not. It shortened the time difference to the point of insignificance. So, let's circle back to my findings on loot again quickly. The luck build was bringing me 30% more on average in terms of the loot I actually wanted, in this case, plus level divine gear to let me build up the plus level of my own weapons and armour. Everyone's so focused on damage being the most efficient way to play the game. We've all seen the videos of people nuking bosses and one-shotting yokai. I increased my damage to the point where I'm hitting almost double per hit, and it made a total of 5 seconds difference to my run. And if you think about it, the damage build was actually costing me an extra 30% loot every time. So, my final thoughts. Damage can make your level clears faster. Damage can make you feel like you're making much faster progress. But when you actually look at it like this, the difference is minimal, and the loot you receive is significantly less. Now, I'm not telling you to all go nerf your build in favour of luck. I personally preferred playing with the damage build. It felt much better to use, much more satisfying. What I am saying is that if you sacrifice one slot on each of your armour pieces to give yourself a boost to your luck, I doubt it will impact the speed of your progress by much, but it will improve the speed you make progress in terms of levelling up your gear and farming materials. You can save yourself hours of grinding with this approach. Unless you can improve your damage to a crazy extent, and bear in mind that on my damage build, it only took 40 seconds to put a Tokamaro down, then sacrificing your luck for damage is a net loss, and you're missing out on a lot of potential gear. Now, I'm sure people can do this run faster than I can, but you need to think, is it 30% faster? If removing luck from your gear in favour of damage means that you can do this run in 2 minutes and 48 seconds, then you're only breaking even with my luck build in terms of your gear drops. As always guys, you play the game how you want to play. I just have a bad habit of challenging the common thinking and going way too far to find out the facts. I need to do some more work to optimise the builds I'm using. They're still far from perfect, but I know what I need to work on now. I'm going to focus on building up my luck on the damage build. I want to feel just as powerful, but I also want the drop rates too. If you enjoyed the video or found it useful, please drop me a like or comment, sub if you're new, and I'll wrap it up here. Thank you for joining me. See you for the next one. Stay safe. Bye bye now.